Hello students, today we are going to study chapter 2 of history, and that is from trade to territory. Students, as the title tells us that Britishers adventing into India, and when they came into India, their main purpose was to trade. They had nothing to do with the expansion of territory. So how this had started and how they moved from trade to territory, we will discuss today in this chapter. It's all started with the Mughal Empire, and the last most powerful emperor was Aurangzeb. After that, there was no one powerful Mughal emperor that came to power, and the power of Mughal slowly started to dissolve. However, Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last emperor till 1857. So we can say that Mughal Empire officially came into an end by 1857. So let's start the topic, and the first topic is East India Company comes east first. One more thing you need to remember that European had already discovered India's way before Mughal invasion. It was the Vasco da Gama, the Portuguese sailor, who had discovered the sea route to India in 1498. In this year, Portuguese came to India from Calicut. After the Portuguese, the Dutch too were exploring from Pulicat in 1595. Then came the British, who landed in Surat in 1608. After them, the Danish came to Tamil Nadu in 1616, and at last the French came to Pondicherry in 1664. They all were collectively called the European traders. Since Portuguese came first, so they had more number of trading ports compared to other European traders. Let's understand how British arrived in India. In 1600, Royal Charter granted to East India Company, granting the sole right to trade with East. East India Company bought goods at a cheap price and sold them at higher price in Europe. Cotton and silk produced in India had a big market in Europe. Paper, cloves, cardamom and cinnamon were in great demand. East India Company and its officials accumulated wealth by the trade of India and caught attention of other European powers. English East India Company had to compete with other European companies such as French, Dutch and Portuguese. Because of the powerful naval force, British won over European powers and became the champion of struggle of monotony of trade. Our next topic is East India Company begins trade in Bengal. In 1651, the first English factory was set up on the banks of River Hooghly, and first English factory was opened up at Surat in 1608. Aurangzeb issued a firman granting the company a right to trade duty free. The company tried to press for more concessions and manipulate existing privileges. For trading purposes, the passes were issued to company officials, but they misused these passes for private trade and accumulate wealth on the name of company. Soon, because of private trade, companies suffered and went into losses. To cure this anomaly, British government made strict rules. From our next topic, we can understand that how did trade lead to battles. After the death of Aurangzeb, the Bengal Nawabs asserted their power and autonomy. Autonomy means the state of being self-governed. The Nawabs of Bengal refused to grant the company concessions as it was making the revenue from Bengal trade less profitable. The British wanted the duties to be abolished, but Bengal Nawabs refused. British officials knew the condition of administration in Bengal and tried their autonomy by use of force. Now the conflicts led to confrontations and finally reached the climax of the famous Battle of Plassey. As a result of denial of trading rights on 23rd June 1757, Battle of Plassey was fought and it was the first major victory of English in India. Ali Wardi Khan died in 1756 and Sirajuddaula became the Nawab of Bengal. In 1757, Robert Clive led the company's army against Sirajud-Dowlah at Plassey. Main reason for defeat of the Nawab was the forces led by Mir Zafar. One of the Sirajud-Dowlah's commanders betrayed Sirajud-Dowlah and never fought the battle. Mir Zafar was promised by Clive to be made Nawab after crushing Sirajud-Dowlah. As per the deal, Mir Zafar became the Nawab of Bengal after the defeat and death of Sirajud-Dowlah, but he was a nominal head of Bengal and actual power remained in the hands of British. This battle was famous because it was the first major victory the company won in India, for the Battle of Buxar. After the defeated Plassey, Sirajud-Dowlah was assassinated and Mir Zafar was made the Nawab. Mir Zafar was just a puppet in the hands of Britishers. In 1764, the Battle of Buxar was fought between Britishers and Mir Qasim, when Mir Qasim denied the privileges given to Britishers. Mir Qasim abolished the trade duty for everyone and transferred his capital from Murshidabad to Munger. But this was against the interest of British and they declared war. In this battle, Mir Qasim, the Nawab of Bengal, Shujaud-Dowlah, the Nawab of Awadh, and Shah Alam, the Mughal king, fought against British and British forces were led by Hector Munro. In this battle, British became victorious and they decided to control the territory by their own. In 1765, the Mughal emperor appointed the company as Diwan of the provinces of Bengal, and they also got the Diwani rights of Bihar and Odisha. Now the company officials became Nabobs, means that the company acquired more powers and authority. In 1764, Robert Clive was appointed Governor General of Bengal. Nabobs can an anglicized version of the Indian word Nawab, as British were leading a lavish life similar to Nawabs and everyone was on the mercy of British. Next topic, company rule expands. The process of annexation of Indian states by the East India Company from 1757 to 1857 brought forth some key aspects like the company rules. After Battle of Buxar, the company appointed residents in Indian states. The company forced the states into a subsidiary alliance. According to the terms of this alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. They were to be protected by the company and they had to pay the British forces. In case of non-payment to army, the Nawab or the king had to give some part of its territory. The Nawab of Awadh and the Nizam of Hyderabad were forced to keep territories and accept the subsidiary alliances. Tipu Sultan. Tipu Sultan, who was better known the Tiger of Mysore. In the southern India, Mysore had grown in strength under the leadership of powerful ruler like Hyder Ali and his famous son Tipu Sultan. Tipu Sultan ruled Mysore from 1782 to 1799. Tipu Sultan took the help of French to modernize his army and sent foreign delegates to gather the foreign help against British. 4 wars were fought between Britishers and Mysore and were known as the Anglo-Mysore Wars, which is in between 1767 to 1769. Next Anglo-Mysore War is 1780 to 1784. Third Anglo-Mysore War 1790 to 1792, and last one was in 1799. In 1799, the Britishers won the Battle of Seringapatam against Mysore. Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital, Seringapatam. Next topic is Anglo-Maratha War. Now the next topic is War with the Marathas. After the defeat of Maratha in the Battle of Panipat in 1761, they get divided in various small dynasties such as Scindia, Holkars, Gaikwad, and Bhosle. Three wars were fought between Marathas and British in 1782, 1803 to 1805, and in 1817 to 1819. The Third War was the decisive war, and after this, Peshwa was deposed and thus sent to the northern India on a pension. Now the company had control over the south of Vindhyas. Claim to paramountcy means supreme power. As British were proving themselves as the best power across the India, this enhanced their desire to rule whole territories, and they started direct conquest under Lord Hastings from 1813 to 1823. British also wanted to secure northwest front of their empire in India. For this, they fought wars with Afghanistan and Punjab, and finally won over its territories in 1843 and 1849 respectively. Now the doctrine of lapse. The final wave of annexations occurred under Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General from 1848 to 1856. He devised the policy that came to be known as doctrine of lapse. According to this policy, the rulers who does not have any legal heir could not pass on their property to the adopted son, and it would be taken over by British. Satara, Sambalpur, Jhansi were annexed by this policy. Now the next one is setting up a new administration. In 1773, Warren Hastings became the Governor General of Bengal and controlled the governors of the other presidencies of Madras and Bombay, means Chennai and Mumbai. Separate civil and criminal courts were set up under the supervision of collectors. New set of laws were compiled by muftis and Brahmins for the religious interpretation. In the 19th century, the British developed a uniform military culture. Soldiers were increasingly subjected to European style training, drill, and discipline that regulated their life for more than before. At the conclusion of this chapter, the East India Company was transformed from a trading company to territorial colonial power. Thank you.